Hey, everyone. How are you tonight? Welcome to SureFire Live. I was a little worried about the start today because I heard there was some Facebook problems and wasn't sure if the show was going off. And I had two guests lined up tonight. So thank you for joining me. I did want to start with what I talked about last week, and I'll probably talk about it every week, which is the Sweep Away Cancer Rally, going to be June 14th and 15th in Withville, Virginia. Hard to say. And we are going to, again, everyone is invited. We will have tickets. Spark Marketer is working on the website now with the links. We got everything taken care of with the hotel. It's at the Bowling, Boling, Wilson Hotel. There'll be links coming up for that. And I'll have them on for next week. But come donate, come visit us. We have a great rally through the mountains, and you can drive anything you want. You can drive motorcycle, sports car, regular car, work van, work truck. Can't do a bicycle because you can't keep up with this, but please feel free to join us. It's a great time. It is for a great cause. At Sweep Away Cancer, we always need to raise money because we have requests every week, several requests a week to give money to people in need. And we love to say yes. The only way we can say yes is to have money in the bank that we can donate. We can give to them as grants. And a lot of you know how Sweep Away Cancer works, but it's basically we raise money and give it straight to the people. We don't give it to research or anything like that. We started to, but then we decided just to give it straight to the people who need checks. And so we write checks to people. They apply for it. We have a board that looks over everything and says, hey, it looks like a good thing. And so we donate the money and we help people directly. 96% of every single dollar we raise goes right to the people. The 4% is like audits and things you have to do for a nonprofit, things we have to spend money on. But in general, everybody's volunteers. Everybody tries to just, do as much as they can. So the rally is my event. As a board member, it's my one big event that I do for us. And so I always want it to be a success. So more to come. Save the date if you can. It's in Withville, Virginia, and a beautiful ride. So, all right. Well, so I've got two guests tonight. I've been talking to Jake Cromwell, but for some reason I lost contact with him right here before the show started. I was going to have him start, and then I was going to bring on my good friend from Sweden, Peter Rolfmark. He is a Swedish chimney master, and he's staying with me at my house. So he's going to show up right here on my side here in just a minute. And I got to know him through being a delegate for the U.S. chimney industry to Europe. Through CSIA, we go to Europe, and Peter is my counterpart in Sweden. He and a friend of Hassa is a friend of ours as well. So I'll tell you what. Let me just come on over here. Just come on. We don't have a fancy studio. He's staying at my house. Here he is. Hey guys. So I'll move over a little bit more. Come on over here. Yeah. All right. So hey, we've got a couple people already. Good afternoon. I can't quite see who this is. Thank you. And then Diane Pilger, who's a good friend of ours. Welcome, Peter. So let's just, so Peter, introduce yourself. Tell everybody who you are, what you do.
Yeah, my name is Peter Rolfmark. I'm from Sweden. I'm running a little company in the south of Sweden, close by to Malmö. And I've been a chimney sweeper for about 35 years. My father, he started a business in 1959 and become a chimney sweeper. His master is 67. And I'm in the Swedish board, the Swedish Guild, and I'm representing, as you say, Mark, in the Sweden International.
So Peter, again, he's second generation chimney master. His father started the business and passed a few years ago. And so they have a very, for me, when I speak to other industries, other countries, most of them are very different than the U.S. But in Sweden, you and I've been talking quite a bit. It's very similar. But tell everybody kind of what does it take to be a chimney master, and what does that mean in Sweden? And then what's your daily business like?
Well, to start, you start to be a chimney sweeper as a classic chimney sweeper in Sweden. And in a couple of years, it's possible to get some education. And it's in Stockholm, the Swedish capital. And then it's about it's about 6 months, 3 times. And after that, you become a licensed chimney sweeper.
Right.
And then you have to work for a couple of years, and then it's possible to get to become a technician. And then you have to go to Stockholm again. And this course is about 1 year. But it's much practical. So it's much practical you do in your hometown.
When he says practic, it's doing the actual work.
Yeah.
It's like a journeyman. You're doing the work, you're taking classes, and then you're doing the work. And somebody is rating you, or somebody is checking the boxes that you're okay?
Yeah, there's often the chimney sweeper master, the chimney master, he does it. They have a register they have to follow.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and after that, you become an engineer. And the only way you can call you a chimney sweeper master, chimney master, is when you get your own district, own town that you run.
So how do you get your own district?
Sorry?
How do you get the district?
The community, they make an offer. So then you can send in all your qualities. And if you're approved to have everything and everything checks,
Right.
okay, yeah, and the money is okay. So in Sweden, the community, they decide the money, how much
they're going to pay.
Yeah. And then it's up to me as a chimney master to fix the people and make everything goes around, it works.
So basically, they put out for bid, we're going to pay this much per household, or you have to negotiate the price per house or per hour?
They decide price per hour, per house.
Okay.
Price per house, yeah. And then it's up to me if I can make my employees do more house, but a good quality.
Mm-hmm.
Then I
can make more money.
Yeah. So and we are also lots of ventilation job. So
right. So tell everybody what that means by ventilation jobs.
Well, in Sweden we build ventilation, we clean ventilation, we serve ventilation, we do everything with ventilation. So, and we got some factory is going to build, we make an offer so we can build a ventilation. And in the houses, we make some offers so we can change filters and do the service regular. So, yeah, and we're quite good at that in Sweden. Yeah. The ventilation, yeah. So everyone does it. And then, yeah, it's a good money there.
So in this, he also does, so with the ventilation, you clean like restaurants, the vent hoods, you actually take care of like the fan systems and all that as well, right?
Yeah, we do everything. Like you said, the hoods in the kitchen, there's 3 times a year, and it's quite messy with lots of grease. Mm-hmm. And so, and yes, we do the fans, we change fans, we do more or less everything.
So unlike Germany, and Germany is now more free market, but the people pretty much choose who the chimney master is, although they can choose other companies. In Sweden, can they choose other chimney sweeps, or they don't? You are it?
There is a possibility. In 2005, there was a new law that made that we do an even more better inspection of the chimneys. And during the time, they also decided that it's a possibility to choose another chimney sweeper. And then you have to sign a letter to the community, and they have to prove that you can hire another one. You can also, if you go in a course, you can do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. And then you have to have a book that you register and sign everything. And our technician going every third or sixth year and check if everything is okay. And you also have to check the book.
Okay.
And then you have to register if you clean the pipes once a year or twice a year or whatever. So you have to sign it all the time. Otherwise, you get away from the license.
We've got some other quick, says explain ventilation in households. So we'll get to that. Hello, Peter. And then Ryan says, that's an incredible amount of schooling. What a unique way of life to have communities set the market value for service. Yeah, I think that's very interesting too, that they set how much they're going to pay. And then you decide if you want to take the job, right?
Yeah.
So when the question here was explain ventilation in homes. Do you do that in homes as well?
Yeah, that's a big market for us because
And is that HVAC for us, the heating and cooling system, or is
No.
that just for wood?
yeah, that's we do a heating system, we do a ventilation system, we do radon. We
Mhm.
check it out also, and if it's a radon in the house, we can build the ventilation, so put away the radon.
Right.
We often in the small houses, if you're going to change something, you now the bathroom, or you change the house, and then you have to change the ventilation, and then we rebuild the ventilation, so it's improved for the community, and that's about it. And we also we get some service, so every third year, more or less, every houses in Sweden, they want to have checked the houses ventilation. And we do that. So we measure, we clean, and we fix
But
everything.
who decides every third year? Is that the government? Is that the village that's hiring you? Is it the homeowner? Who says that?
From the beginning, the government said that every house in Sweden have to do it by every third year. But then I think it was 99, they took it away. So now it's up to you. But most of the people, they want to have clean houses and good ventilation, so don't have any sickness or whatever. So they just give a call and they say that we want to come with you. We know you clean our pipes, so you're a good company, a good people, and we are comfortable with you. So we'd like you to check your ventilation system, and so more or less every new houses in Sweden, they have a ventilation system. And if it's in a small house, a small community, a small city like I live in, they more or less 100%, they call me because they know that the local chimney sweeper, he knows the houses, he knows the ventilation system, it's comfortable with him. So yeah, we do the check.
So here we go. We have some other questions. Okay, Diane says, does all the documentation go to the government, the fire department, like it does in Germany? Like where does all that paperwork go to?
I can say, but if public buildings, there's a law in Sweden that they say that you have to do the ventilation inspection every third or 6th year.
Okay.
Yeah, and that document we have to send to the government, and then the government, they say it's not good or good. If it's not good, we decide when we have to fix it.
So if you find a problem, you have to send that to government
Yeah.
too and say there's an issue?
Even if it's improved, you have to send it to government. So every
Either
document,
way, yeah.
every
It's
inspection.
And then what? It'll say there's something wrong.
Yeah, it depends. If something wrong, so often when we have where we are on a mall or a factory or something like that, and we do the inspections, and there's something wrong, we send it to the owner or the one who have
Hired you?
Yeah, and then they say, okay, this is not good. I want to have a clean ventilation, or I want you to fix this, or can you fix this? Yeah, all right. And then give me an offer, and then he said, all right, we take it, or no, it's too expensive, I don't want to do it. Otherwise, always we send it to the government, and then the government say, okay, you have 1 week, 1 month, or 3 months to fix it, and then they have to fix it. Otherwise, they get a fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a couple more questions. So you use spin rods to clean mostly 4-inch vents? Like when you're doing ventilation, I think the question is how are you cleaning them? What tools?
It depends. Sometimes we have a wire with a brush on.
Right.
I think you have also.
We do.
Some pressure and some
pressure?
high pressure in a what do you call it? High pressure.
Is it in? Is it in a ball that
Yeah.
spins?
Yeah.
And pressure comes
Yeah.
out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we call it a skipper ball
Okay,
or
skipper
something
ball,
like.
yeah. And in factories and malls like that, we have to have that.
Right.
So,
and so you run it through there, and it goes around and
Yeah.
blows it back out
Yeah.
toward you,
Yeah.
or forward.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
I think that probably answers your question on how they clean those. And then do you have brushes too
Yeah.
with really
Yeah.
big vents?
Yeah.
Let's see. Ryan says house as a pressure system, not to be taught. Must be well taught as subject in Sweden. So he's saying that house pressures. Now in the U.S. it's not new, but our houses aren't probably as efficient as they are in Sweden as far as how being airtight.
Yeah.
So when you're using, say, a wood stove or some other type of system, is part of your job to make sure the house has enough makeup air
Yeah.
to use it. So
Yeah.
can you explain how you do that?
It depends, but when we inspect the fireplace, we also do a lot of measurement close to that. So if there's enough air into the house, and we're gonna measure that, and we have told the owner you have to make some more air in for that.
So to measure it is, we call that like a blower door test. How do you test the house if it has enough air?
Yeah, when we make a fire, and then we measure during the fire.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then we measure put different places, outside, inside the fireplace, in the chimney, and yeah. So it's also, if you have this is only the technician who can do that. So they have the experience for it. So you have to work like 7, 8, 9, 10 years before you can do this.
Really?
Yeah.
What type of equipment are you using to measure it?
We have lots of different equipment, but Wöhler is yeah.
We call it Wöhler.
Wöhler, okay, yeah.
Wöhler.
It's Swedish or German, I don't know.
Yeah, German.
Wöhler, and yeah, it's some Swedish measurement also that we use. So yeah, it's easy and it's good.
Well, it's easy for you.
Yeah.
Because you've been at 35.
Yeah.
Almost 40 years.
Yeah.
Kirby Ragnar says, "Hey guys, hey Kirby, good
Hello.
to see you. Going to be seeing you soon." Question: the windows have sliders to let fresh air in, right? So, is it to that point? Let's say the house needs more air. You determine that it's not getting enough air. What do you do?
We give them some different alternative. Some is to make a hole in the wall. Yeah, and or in the windows.
Mm-hmm.
And
so I think that's what they're saying here.
Yeah.
Does the windows have a way to let air
upside
in?
or down under the windows?
Right.
Not the window itself. It have to be in the wood.
Frame.
Yeah, the frame. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So talk about how it's changed for you in Sweden. About like, for instance, when I used to, when we swept chimneys when I started in the 80s. I mean, that was all we did. Tons of chimney sweeping, and we were dirty every day, and chimneys were very dirty. And now, when we sweep chimneys, we're not that dirty. The chimneys aren't as dirty. And it used to be 85 to 90% of my income came from sweeping chimneys. And now sweeping chimneys is only 7% of my income. How has that changed for you in Sweden over your time frame?
Yeah, when I began 89, 90, there was, like you said, it was more or less 100% of kitchen and classic chimney sweeping, and we also have some ventilation. We have it for many years. During the 60s, we started a little bit, and the market for the ventilation has been bigger and bigger and bigger. And in the 90s, when the oil boiler started to disappear more and more, and they put in some fireplaces, and we clean fireplaces, local fireplaces, like the small one you have in the living room, about once a year or every second year. The boiler we cleaned about 3 times a year, so it's a lot of work. But
Are they wood boilers or are they gas or
no,
oil?
no gas. We have no gas.
You have no gas?
No, in the middle of Stockholm, in the middle of Malmö a little bit, but no houses.
Okay.
It's only in apartments,
Oh.
big apartments. That are gas, a little bit, not so much.
And so go ahead about
Yeah.
like how much chimney sweeping?
Yeah, and then it's starting to get lower and lower, and the fireplaces, we have to do something to keep our job, and that's why we started more and more with the ventilation,
Right.
radon, and energy declaration of houses. And so for now on, it's about 50-60% by ventilation and 50% by chimney sweeping. But if you're in a big town in Sweden, it's, I think, about 5% chimney sweeping, 95% ventilation.
Really?
And if you're going up north in Sweden, where it's much cold, I think it's about 75% chimney and 25% of ventilation.
So it depends on the temperature.
Yeah. And we for about 4 or 5 years ago, we started to use stick. We clean from underneath.
Right.
Yeah, with a brush.
Right.
With a drill.
Right.
Drill. So that makes it we're not so dirty anymore that we used to be.
So you used to clean from the top down.
Yeah.
So do we. And then it changed to the bottom up.
Yeah.
Do you run camera? Like we run, our main thing is to run a camera up the chimney.
Yeah.
Is it the same with you?
Yeah, every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Like every chimney?
Yeah, no, only the chimneys that technician inspection.
Okay.
So the ordinary chimney doesn't do it.
Okay.
If he suspects something bad, wrong, then he does it.
So for us, let's just say we run a camera up the chimney and we find a problem. We find a crack, we find a hole, we find problems. In most of the companies in the US, we will then put a proposal to fix it for the customer. And I know in Germany, they just say it's wrong. Someone else has to fix it because they can literally say, you can't use this fireplace anymore till it's fixed. What is it like in Sweden when you find a problem?
If you find a problem, we send them a protocol and they tell me what's wrong, and we can't do anything more because we have the government had told us to do what to do. We have a contract from the government. So in just chimney sweeping, we can't do anything more than just tell them what's wrong and a suggestion to what to do.
Okay.
In ventilation, which is a completely free market, we can do everything.
So you can say, this is what's wrong with the ventilation. We can fix it. Here's the price. So on chimney sweeping, so it's very interesting for us because if we couldn't fix chimneys, we really wouldn't have much of a business. Most of these companies that have multiple trucks. Now for you, I think you have 10, 15 employees or so. And, but with the government telling you, you have to do it that with just chimney sweeping alone. So what happens when you find a problem? Who does the work?
There's often some carpenter or some other people, and there's also special companies in Sweden that doesn't do anything, just fix the chimneys.
So you refer them to another company that
no, I can't do that.
You can't refer.
No, I can't do that. I have to be neutral.
Okay.
Yeah, because if I do that, then I may have some profit for.
Right.
So no, not allowed.
So like for us, the fire departments, if your house catches on fire and there's a problem, the fire department is not supposed to say, okay, call ash busters to fix your chimney. They just say they have to be neutral too, because they're a government. Now I'm not saying they all do, but I know when we've talked to fire departments, when they've found a problem, they can't recommend any certain company. So for you, how do people book you? Do they call you? Is it online? Like, is it every year at a certain time?
Yeah. When this system we have now started about during the war, World War II, and in that system it means like we do it like from house to house.
Right. So you're doing a neighborhood. In my neighborhood, you would just, I'm going to be in your neighborhood on this day.
Yeah, and so from the beginning there was every house had a fireplace, and then now it's on a road or street maybe 10 or 15% have a have a fireplace. So we have the system from the beginning. So we know that in this area, this is about this 100 or 200 fireplaces, and we start in that road, first number, and then we send out letters to each of them. And if they want to change time, they go into a computer and you can book your own time.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So,
but isn't
it's for
that a
free.
problem? Like if you're doing it, you have 200 to do, and then somebody doesn't, and you have to jump around. Is that a problem?
It's okay, because they're so used to it in Sweden that they know that the chimney sweeper is coming between 9 and 11 a.m. So the neighbor had a key or
Right. So they work with it. Yeah.
A
Couple more questions. Jeff, JJ says Mark makes his profits that way. That's exactly right. Exactly right. Ryan says, are you using AI in your chimney business? So do you know what AI is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you use AI for anything at this point?
No. Not really.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
Mm-hmm. So what happens if the homeowner won't let you in?
That happens, and if it happens twice, we write a letter to the government, and then the fire department coming with us, and we knock.
Really?
Yeah. And if it still doesn't work, we go by the police.
Really?
Yes, it happens once in these 35 years.
One time it's happened, and you go with the police.
Yes, we go with the police, and then they have to open. Yeah.
Wow. That's fascinating. Okay.
Well, it's not so often, once in 35
Yeah. So then tens of thousands of Swedes, one person. So how often do you have to go with the fire department? Like once a year?
Often. No. It's the one we got problem with is often the restaurants.
Oh.
Yeah. And they change owners.
Okay.
All the time, because some can't pay the money to someone, and then they changes, and then we come and they say no owner. So
really,
but it's not so often. It's like 2-3 times a year, maybe.
I can tell you in the U.S. we'd have to be going with the police a lot more often. I mean, we can barely get people that they call us, and they still don't. We show up and they're not there.
Breaking up.
So JJ says, when I was in Croatia visiting Marin, I'm not sure how to say his last name. His friend's cell was ringing every 12 seconds as he worked in Croatia. Which my son, so he's on the list he's the main chimney sweep over there. Let's see. So Yvette says, good evening, gentlemen. You know Yvette?
Yeah. Good evening. What?
Says Ryan, they learned so much about homes in Europe, more than just running a brush. That's true. Yeah. All right, so here we go. What's your favorite hockey team?
Oh, and Nashville Predators.
Nashville Predators, baby.
And Frölunda in Sweden.
Yeah. And so we have a few Swedish hockey players. We have Peter Forsberg. We have who else? Who's the other?
Gustav Nyquist.
Yeah, Nyquist.
Yeah.
And then we had several Swedish. In fact, that's what his shirt says. I don't know if you can see it. Let me get rid of that part. So Tennis Sweden. So that was a Nashville Predators demo, shirt that they did, because we had so many Swedish players. So, and then the other night we went to a game, and he got me the Swedish national team's jersey. I wore it, and I got him a Predators jersey, and they both say Chimney Sweeper 1 on it. Yvette, no, not the Preds. Of course the Preds. She's from Canada.
Yeah.
So she doesn't know. In the SHL. What's SHL?
Yeah, this is Swedish NHL.
Swedish Hockey League, right.
Frölunda.
Yeah. Nice. So please, more questions like this. It was so funny. We were talking before the thing, and he said, do you think that when you listen to me talk, do I sound like the Swedish chef on the Muppets? and I said no, but we were going to have him talk like that. And then I was going to act like I understood it. So go ahead with this little Swedish.
You said yes?
Yes.
Yeah,
of course. Really? Yes, of course.
Really?
So anyway, we don't think he sounds like that.
I hope so not.
So Peter's a good dancer. Oh, Peter is the good dancer. I think he has a TikTok that just came out today, don't you? Your daughter.
Yeah.
We might have to show it. It's hilarious. His daughter did it today. Yvette says she's a Leaf fan. So
Okay, that's a good one.
I understand.
You have good Swedish there, William Nylander.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then Bob, hey Bob, good to see you, buddy. Hope you're doing all right. And then so Yvette says, do you remember your first solo sweep?
Ooh. No, I don't think so.
That was so your father started the business?
Yeah, 1950. No, he became a chimney sweeper at 59, and he started the business 1967.
So he was working for another company or
Yeah.
the local chimney
Yeah,
sweep?
local chimney sweeper. That was being the local chimney sweeper. Yeah.
And then he became the chimney sweep,
Yeah,
right? Then
yeah.
I guess the town or the guy stopped doing it and your father became.
No, my father, my grandfather, he went to the chimney sweeper and he said that, do you want looking for new chimney sweeper? And the chimney sweep master said, no, we don't look for that, so it's okay. And later the night, 1959, my father, they have a dinner. My father lived with parents. He was only 16 years old. And he said my grandfather said to my father, you have to go to the chimney master because he's looking for some chimney sweepers.
All right.
And my father said, I don't want to go there because I don't want to go in the roof and I don't want to be dirty.
Nobody wants to be a chimney
No.
sweeper. Right, Kirby? I hope Kirby's watching. He's got a funny story about not wanting to be a chimney sweep.
So the day after, he went to the chimney master and he said, my father said that you're looking for some people. And he said, no, I don't. Okay. But they started to talking and they get along. And the chimney master said, okay, you can work here for a couple of days and see if it's okay. Which he did. And they get along very, very good. And so he became a chimney sweeper. And at that time, 1959, they went to the first house in the street. And then they cleaned the houses. And the last house, they said to the neighbor, tomorrow I come to you. And you can say to the neighbor, and the last house is that house. Can you say this is the last house?
That's how they communicated.
Yeah, that time. In 1967, the chimney master died suddenly. So in the fire department, they went down to the office and they said, do we have any volunteer? My father raised his hand. Okay, I can take it. So he made a very fast education because he didn't have an education at all. And then he went back 1967 and then he became the chimney master. Yes.
When did education become such a big deal? So he took over the town and we didn't have it in the US either. We had like no education. It really started a long time ago. And then, I mean, not a long time ago, like in the 80s, we really started getting more. And then we've gotten a lot more education. When did that really become part of what you had to do in Sweden?
You mean when the law made it so?
Right.
It's about during the Second World War.
Oh,
Yeah.
But you said your father took it over in 1967,
Yeah.
but he didn't have much education.
No.
When did all the education really start to come in where you had to be better trained?
During the 60s.
In the 60s.
Yeah. So I think he's about in the end of 50s, during beginning of 60s. Before that, no one had special education.
We didn't even really have an industry in the 60s in the US. We really didn't.
Okay.
It really started in the late 70s
All right.
for the US. And because we're really new to the game. But how long has chimney sweeping, do you know, been in Sweden? Like how long?
Oh, it's been very, very long. During the 1600 and 1650s.
Really?
Yeah. So it's been for couple of hundred years.
Yeah, we're not doing anything back then. So Yvette says, okay, and what was the worst thing you found in a flue?
Oh, worst. I think I've found more or less everything, drugs or
You have found
bats
drugs?
and
Yeah.
yeah.
Dead animals.
Yeah, birds. That's very common.
Well, I think you said kind of one of the worst things you have to clean now is like the grease hoods and the like certain restaurants, like Chinese restaurants and things that grease you have to get out of it. That seems like
we have to have steam to get away because it's the grease is like a chewing gum. You can't take it away with a scraper. So you have to very strong chemical or steam.
Really?
Hot steam, 150
And how long does it take to clean, say, a restaurant vent hood?
It depends, but often about 3-4 hours, 2-3 men.
2 or 3 men, 3 or 4 hours. Yeah. I know when we came to Sweden, we went with one of the teams, and we went to a kitchen, and you guys, not you, but another company were cleaning that. It was a whole different thing. For us in the U.S., most chimney sweeps don't do that kind of work. I mean, I think we could rotate into that kind of work, but it's not really part of what we do.
I would say it's not the favorite thing.
It's like us in dryer vents. We don't love
favorite, but it's a part of a contract, so we have to do it.
So it's part of the contract with the city, with the town, is that.
Yeah. Oh. So we have to clean every fireplace in Sweden, every restaurant in Sweden.
Okay.
Every school, everything. Everything has to be.
And how many people, what's your population that you have to take care of?
In my community, 35,000.
So you have to take care of every fireplace in every restaurant. 35,000 population.
Yeah.
Wow. We don't have that. One, our industry isn't big enough to handle all those requests. Ours are more volunteer basis, or the customers kind of dictate what has to be done, not the government. If the government flipped and did that to us, it would change our whole industry quite a bit. We would be a completely different services.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you guys for all of the comments. It helps. And I was going to have another guest, Jake, tonight. I don't see Jake backstage, so I don't know if Jake ran into a problem. So we're just going to keep talking to Peter. So keep asking questions. Okay, can you please explain your education again, from apprentice to journeyman to master?
It has changed during the years, but now on you go on up to Stockholm and you learn about. I think it changes, but a couple of months. You go in an education. At the
beginning.
Yes. And during the time, you also do practical. So I would say about half of the education is practical.
Okay.
Yeah. And this go on for about, in different, I would say about 6 months totally.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if after 6 months, and you have to do a test, and then you are a chimney sweeper.
Okay.
And after that, you have to work some years, and then you have approved to search for go the next level.
Which is what?
The engineer.
So you became apprentice, then you become a chimney sweeper, then you're an engineer.
Yeah, a technician or engineer. It's more or less the same.
Okay. Yeah. And then what? Then a chimney master?
Yeah, the chimney master, you become a chimney master when you got your own community. So then you have the title of a chimney master.
So let's just say, and JJ, don't pick on me on this. Let's just say I wanted to come into your area and try to take your job from you.
Yeah.
I want to be the chimney sweep in your town. I know that's impossible, but let's just say, what would be the process like? When the town gives it to you for 3 or 6 years, right? And then it comes up, does somebody else get to bid on it, or how does that work? Or if you didn't do a good job, now it's up.
If I don't do a good job, I will go out. They put away me pretty fast. So I have to, every year I have to send them numbers and let everything, how many employees, the education, how many cars, how many fireplaces.
When you say cars, that's what we call them, trucks.
Trucks, so basically. Yeah. So how many works in the office, and how many, how many mail, which time we answer the mail.
Really?
Yeah, so much. So, but everyone does it. So we have a program for it. So it's not so difficult now on. They have used to be difficult before. We have to print out
paper.
and
Yeah.
some paper. So now it's okay. And you have this contract for about 3, 4, 5, 6 years, and after that is going out for a new offering, and then you can go and if you want to
try to bid against
Yeah,
you, or they put a price. So I'm not bidding. I'm just saying pick me, and you say pick me, and the town does that.
Yeah. So yes, you have to prove everything. You have to have the license. You have to be a chimney master or a chimney engineer. You have to have trucks. You have to have education. You have to have everything.
Right.
So if you have that, and then you make an offer, you say this is what it costs to clean the fireplace. And then the community, they look about the prices and everything, and the quality. And in my case, my father has been there like 67, so I think it's about 57 years.
You own that town.
I own the town.
You own it. Yeah, there's nobody going to win, but
not
have
even you.
Not even me. No, I get that. Have you ever been challenged? Has somebody ever tried to take your area?
Once, but I am in Swedish board, so but that's not the case. Because if they know that we have been there so long,
right.
So why should the community change something
right.
who has working for so many years?
Yeah.
So I don't bother doing it because they run it.
Yeah,
it's good. It's running, and they won't.
Do you have to keep your prices the same for 6 years?
No, and the community, the government, and they decide what the new price is going to be for next year in percent.
Oh, okay.
So it depends. So the same percent in Malmö, Gothenburg, Sweden, so, or everywhere. It doesn't matter. So my price goes up by 2.3%, whatever, and also Malmö and Gothenburg. So
yeah, nice. Yeah. I see Jake is backstage now, so I've got a few more questions, and Jake, I'll bring you on in just a minute. So here we go, Mark. Okay, so let me go back up here. So we also use Steam to do restaurant codes. Chinese restaurants are the worst. Ryan says, so sad we have so little in the way of hands-on training. Look forward to our first hands-on event expo in Moncton, New Brunswick in June. First in a long time. Big changes coming in Canada. Nice. Yvette says Ryan will be great in Moncton, I believe. Moncton. Yvette says, Mark, take care of Ryan when he goes to Florida. Be his first time there. Warned him about you. Yeah, I think the warning needs to be coming about you, Yvette, and your tequila. And actually, Jake, who's my next guest, was part of that debauchery that we had at the New York Guild, and he still got a lot of money. Not still a lot of money. He goaded me into spending a lot of money, I should say. Yvette says, Peter, I know we're not supposed to really talk about prices, but what do you usually get paid pursuant to our own? Like, can you talk about, like, it seemed like when we talked about prices, they were pretty,
I can do. It's often. Everyone knows it.
Right.
So what's the question?
Like, how much do you charge for chimney sweeping?
For chimney sweeping, I charge $55.
$55 per chimney sweep, right? Yeah. And so, and like, I think that was similar in Germany. And you're just going, and how long does a chimney, how many do you do in a day per truck?
About 12, 13.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they're $55 plus tax.
Okay. Yeah. Right. And then it says, cheater. I know we're not supposed to talk about prices, but I think she meant Peter. So we already said that. Okay. Ryan says, I'm so intimidated and excited to be surrounded by legends. Oh, God. Legends, that means you're old. And Jake, he's a legend coming on here, too. He's got the gray beards. John says, do you want to expand into other districts? And I know you have before.
Yeah.
What's that like?
2009, just when before my father died, I have an opportunity to take another district. It was twice as big as mine. And then during the time, we were about 25, 26 people. But I have the contract for 12 years. And then we decided, me and my wife, that we're going to...
You mean your wife decided?
Yeah. We're going
to calm down a little bit.
Yeah. I had some other companies
She's
also.
wanting to slow down. Peter would never slow down. He would go faster and faster. He's full of energy all the time. So does he want to expand? Yes. Does the family unit want to expand? No.
Do you think she heard that?
Yeah, she's listening right now. She's in the other room on an iPad listening. So she's probably hopefully smiling.
Yeah.
A couple more questions, and I got to bring on my next guest. Yvette says, Peter, I know we're not really so. Oh, I think I kept coming back up. So here's Yvette. No more tequila. Yeah. Yeah. No voice to text, had to do. Oh, I see. It happened over and over when she's doing voice to text. Okay. So then she did hear it. So that's your wife saying it. I'll tell Annette if she did hear it. So, well, man, thank you so much for being my guest, and you've been wonderful. He actually goes to the Bahamas tomorrow. So they are heading out and going to continue. They came to US. He loves music. He couldn't wait to come to Music City. And so we did the music thing. And then he actually went to Graceland yesterday. Yeah. And then today we went around and we toured some of my businesses and got to see kind of what we do here. And he heads to the Bahamas tomorrow. And then John Colder says, see you in Prague, Czech Republic. Yeah, we do that this year. All right, buddy. Well, thank you so
very much. Thank you for being on the show.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, so nice. And thank you for you and Terry and the hospitality in Nashville. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm going to be adopted.
Okay. I told him we would adopt him, but I would have to put him to work. I did have him helping me wash my car the other day. So, well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Bye-bye, everybody.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm not used to having guests in here, so we'll reset the stage. Oh, and then we got a last comment, Peter. It says, you did great. Yvette says she wished she was there with us. So, yeah, you'd be super fun here, Yvette. We're going to have you on the show sometime. All right. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed Peter from Sweden, and he's been a super great guy. Let's bring on Mr. Jake Cromwell. Hey, Jake.
Hey, guys. How's everyone doing?
How are you doing? What's that?
Hi, Mark. How are you?
I'm good. How are you tonight?
Good, man.
Sorry, did I mess up our time or something? I'm not sure what happened, but what?
It's probably me. That's probably me. I'll just take it.
Well, it's all good. Hey, so let me turn my volume up just a little bit. Welcome, man. How are you doing?
Real well, man. How are you?
Good. How's the chimney business? And you're in Arkansas, right? So how's that going?
Weird, man. It's every year I say the same thing. It was weirder than the last year. My favorite thing about the chimney business is there's always business, but you never can tell how it's going to shake out. Like it's always so interesting at the end of the year and the beginning of the new year.
It seems like, let's just say we were slow. It seems like, let's just say you were slow. It's going to come at some point. You just don't know when it's going to come. It seems like it still comes in waves. It's going to come no matter what. Do you find it to be the same way for you guys?
Yeah, actually, after about 10 or 12 years of being in business for myself, I've been dealing with like really intense anxiety year after year about that cash flow issue, like big times, slow times, or whatever.
Absolutely.
It would eat my lunch on some days and weeks. And so after about 10 or 12 years, I'm like, you've done this for 10 or 12 years. You've been managing it. Like I think you know what's going on. And I guess I just kind of told myself at one point, like, you're going to get through this. It works. It works well. You're doing okay. You can do better for sure. But like the demand is there year after year. Like, managing at least status quo is not difficult. You know, I think I get inside my head a lot about trying to be like you.
Well, I have pressures too, man. We have cash flow. We have cash flow issues. You've got to watch it. You got to manage it. You don't want to, spend too much when you've got a bunch of money in the bank and, hey man, let's get some new vans and new tools and new buildings. And the next thing you know, the cash gets a little dry and like,
Well, that's
I
a
wish
fun
I had
week.
that
And
money
you're like,
back.
hey,
And you
new
can't,
trucks, new tools, everybody. Let's hire 12 new people. That's going to be fun. Let's get everything.
dude,
And
that
4 weeks
that's
later.
a hard challenge in
Yeah.
a seasonal business for sure.
Yep.
Bob Fonan says, so true. Yeah. He knows it. Whenever you're growing a business, I know that's not really what we're going to talk about tonight, but you're always on that edge of like, what's the right thing to do here? I've got, just say I have money in the bank. Do I hold on to it for a rainy day, or do I expand right now? And do I buy trucks? Do I train people? Do I send them to conventions? That's a tough balance always to know, because you don't want to have a bunch of cash because you're not really using it as much as you should and expanding. How do you balance that?
Man, about 4 years ago, when I was dealing with, I'm just going to be honest, I was bad anxiety about going into the first quarter. We didn't have as much cash as I thought we should. I knew that there was going to be 3 months from now, things were going to be more difficult. We also have a roofing division, so we were going to be transitioning hard into really expensive projects that cash flow slower but higher.
Yeah,
so
big
I
outlays
was
of money.
that. And I went to my team and I said, I want to go away from that, and as much as we can, and ask, like, can we get 10 $50,000 projects over the year that we don't build into our regular workflow and our regular budget, and we don't build into anything. I just want 10 $50,000 projects so we could start to look at something like a $50,000 to $100,000 cash surplus at the end of the year, so that it would be easier. And just so people know, it's about $1.7 million business that I have. It's not like you. a lot of my good friends that have like 10x that, but that was a big number for me, and I wanted to see
That's
that
a good number
year in surplus. And so that actually was a really attainable goal just by putting it on the marker board. And so
I like that.
We all had friends in our market that had opportunities for us for commercial projects, for large roofing projects, or weird projects, some large custom fireplaces and stuff. And there's a lot of customers that would talk about wanting to get it done, and they would kind of call us and get budget numbers and then kind of let it go. And we decided to just press on them really hard and say, now's the time. Let's do it this year. We want to set time for you in quarter 1 or quarter 2 before we get into chimney season, and you're asking for it in October. And that really worked.
That's good. I like that. That's a good strategy.
Another thing that really worked is I started really leaning on my relationships through my networks. I had some sort of established networks, more formal things, without disclosing exactly what they are. But like I leaned into them hard and said, guys, we want your business.
Like local things, local networks. Yeah, got you.
Right. And I've been in my neighborhood for a long, long time, so I have a big network. And so I just leaned into it hard and said, I want your business. We want it at this time. And this is why, because we're a seasonal business and we'd like to offset this. And we'd like to give you the benefit of our time and maybe some cheaper prices. And people bit hard.
Yeah.
And so
being very proactive.
We've had the benefit of that. That's really helped us. Now, we started that 3 years ago. It took a year to get that going, but
I like that. A couple comments. We find it comes in different times during the year lately since pre-COVID. Sometimes we're swamped in March, and sometimes we don't get busy till April. Strange times. I think, I don't totally know when it's going to happen either. Like, we had a record February, but we weren't anticipating a record February. But it was like, this year's been really freaky for us. And having a glut of funds in the bank is different depending if you're a sole proprietor or a corporation type business. Yeah.
Yep.
Ryan says, man, this topic is the dirt people don't often discuss. I describe it as consistently being waterboarded. Consistently being waterboarded.
Yes. So I'll jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too sexist here, but most of the guys in our industry, most of the people in our industry are guys, right? And so I see this all the time when I've met with customers, clients, I've consulted, I've helped implement programs or whatever. Almost always there's this guy who is just filled with anxiety. Like, he cannot handle the pressure, but he's out there just hammering away work every day. And the wife is filled with anxiety, just typing out proposals, typing out like reports. She's entering data. She's categorizing expenses. All they see is the front bleeding edge of the business constantly. Guys are quitting. Guys are complaining. Their teams are too small. Their customers are complaining. The schedule's weird. The weather's weird. And it's just this constant stream of like this is our whole livelihood, our whole life, always on the edge. And at some point, like I was saying, like 10 years ago, not 10 years ago, just a few years ago, I decided like, I don't think that's really worth that much energy of worrying. Like it tends to work itself out. And if you just pay attention, you tend to find solutions. And that's given me so much peace. It was actually about the time I got remarried. Like my wife has been tremendous for me. Like she's given me a tremendous amount of peace about like just being able to let life be what it is.
Dude,
and if you're a real entrepreneur, like you kind of do live life on the bleeding edge, right?
Dude, you're hitting on some things. Ryan says, great ideas for previously. And then Yvette says, do you have a camera in my office?
Oh, yeah.
And then Bob,
I do not want a camera in your office, Yvette. I promise. That's the last place I want a camera.
It's just the truth, man. You're speaking exactly that pressure that it feels like. And I think it's helpful to know that other people go through that. I mean, and I think you really hit it on at the end. Your partner is such a big deal in how you handle this.
It's pretty much everything. It's pretty much everything. It's the one person that you come home to. They see all your pain, all your anxiety. They see all the pressure. They see your successes. They see your smiles. And they actually have the real barometer for how successful you are.
You need somebody to be in your corner, right? You know, I mean, you're out there fighting the battle. You don't need to come home to another battle, you know, and we're not giving, advice here on that, but I can tell you right now, my wife is a big part of, she keeps it calm and she keeps it, and she's a big part of you need a team that really works together. Now, Yvette says, you are so correct, Jake. It is what it is, but it's how you deal depending on how you heal. Ooh.
It's so hard to get a hold of when you're deep in the weeds. It's so hard for someone to tell you, well, your attitude determines your altitude, dude. Or like, you just can't hear that when you're in the middle of it. But at the end of the day, like you do just make a decision like, this is not going to affect me today. I'm going to get through till 5 o'clock. And then tomorrow morning, I'm going to go deal with these problems first thing. And we'll go through them one by one. Darren Bebo has been a tremendous leader to me and showing me by example how to deal with the multitude of small problems. And on the scale of business that he's working on, the multitude is actually unfathomable. Like you can't get your head around it. So you just have to make them line up. Like one at a time. And we're going to do the best we can with each one. And at the end of the day, we're going to smile at each other, high five each other, say we did the best we did and probably have done a great job. And then everyone's going to go have a dinner and go home, enjoy their families, and get up the next morning. We're going to do it again. And things get better and better that way. And instead of just like sleeping on that anxiety, which I'm still guilty of. Really
happens to everybody. I always say, a couple of things I say to myself is one, it's just chimneys. There's a lot bigger like things out there. I always just say it's just chimneys. Now that's easy. That's an easy cop out. But at the end of the day, like it is a chimney. It's not like brain surgery or saving the world or wars or, a lot of these other really nasty things. And then secondly, I say, Mark, if you can't handle this size business, you don't get to have the next size business. I have to understand when I watch these guys that run hundreds of trucks or run thousands of people and like, what does that look like? And how do they get there versus where I am? And so I have to tell myself to understand that it is probably as much pressure as I can handle. So how do I change the pressure or get rid of some of the pressure or change my thought process on that?
And those are questions that you can't just answer in a podcast, man. Those are the real questions. Like, how do you get down to like, and those are usually personalized questions too.
Yeah.
Like, I work on it. You work on it. Look at this. Look, this is This is the stack of books from
That's
my
how you
desk,
work
right?
on it. Yeah.
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 There's
Yeah.
answers somewhere.
Then you're exactly right. There's answers somewhere. It's either in your network group, it's in your mastermind group, it's in a book, it's in a podcast, it's in a YouTube video. It's like, man, open your mind, let things in, question your own beliefs, don't be so sure that you're right about something.
This segues perfectly into what you and I want to talk about, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
we're going to talk about the NCSG show, and the thing that really prompted me like this week to really push on this conversation was there was a post on Facebook this week. I want to say Jason Avery. Yeah, Jason Avery posted it. Thanks, Jason, about the importance of the NCSG show and the value you can get from it. And someone posted in me if you want to learn how to get lung cancer, go to the chimney sweeping show. And then or if you want to learn how to become a rich businessman, just go to a Google convention or something. And I didn't even know how to respond to that, because there was a time in my life in 2009, I'd never been to an NCSG show. If you guys don't know, I hope somebody's listening who doesn't know. That's really the intent here, is that the National Chimney Sweep Guild has a convention every year where chimney professionals, not just sweeps, not just people who clean chimneys, but chimney professionals, people who build fireplaces, build chimneys, repair them, work in the heating industry, get together and share information, share ideas, and educate each other. I went my first year and thought, okay, I'm going to get this badge at this and from this certification company, and I'm going to attend this guild, and I'm going to hopefully have some fun. It was in Orlando, funny enough, because that's where we are this year. Mm-hmm. And I'll get to hang out in Orlando and probably go swimming, maybe go to the beach if I'm lucky, and it'll be fun. And one of the first meetings I went to was yours, actually, Mark, ironically enough. I know it sounds like we made this up, but it's not. I think one of the first meetings I went to was your Don't Call a Roofer.
Oh, leaky chimney.
That campaign you and John kind of designed, which was like leaking chimney, don't call a roofer, something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And I listened to that because we were a roofing company, right?
Oh, God.
This is stinging. But it's so true, because I had been saying it for years to customers. The worst thing to ever happen to a chimney was a roofer, right? And it's just, sorry, because they just really don't understand that it's not a normal penetration in a roof. It requires very particular considerations. And then I also learned what I didn't know. You started describing all these products and services that I thought I understood, and I didn't, and how to do them in a way. And to give John his credit, John explained it as well. Right. John Meredith. Yep. He explained all of these products and services and how they work as a system together, and that you could put a comprehensive repair product together that would be something that would keep you from having to keep going back out there. So that was the first eye opener. And then I go out in the hallway and I see actually I was in the elevator. This is a funny story, by the way. I get in the elevator, and I'd already read the white paper, and some of you that are listening know what it is. The white paper on chimney fires, causes, effects, and evaluation that was made by a committee of guys at the NCSG and CSIA. Yep. And I look down at the badge of the guy standing next to me, next to his wife, and it says Jerry Eisenhower. And I go, oh, hey, this must be your first convention. I'm Jake Cromwell. And he looked at me like, you, what? Like, he was so angry. He was so upset that
Who's this guy?
Yeah, exactly. Who is this guy? And then I apologized to me and I said, no, that's funny. I've read your book. I think it's fantastic. It's helped me in my career or whatever. And since then, I can call him just like you at 9:30 p.m. at night and say, man, I'm in crisis. Like, I don't know what to do here. I don't know how to fix this. I have a financial problem. I have a technical problem. I have a training problem. Can you help me get through this? And it's like, yeah. First of all, you're screwed. Like, you've done all the wrong things that we've been saying not to do for 30 years or 40 years now. Why haven't you been listening to us? Because we're pretty much repeating a lot of the same information in new and colorful ways every year. And then there's new stuff, and you don't know any of it. Yeah. So I was getting these messages, and then I think it was probably by the time we got to Branson in like 2014, 13, whatever that was, that I realized the real value were the friends I was making. So I made friends with guys that I guarantee you, if I called right now and said, hey, man, I'm borderline bankrupt. I've lost all my employees, or I had a fatality on a job. Like I'm in a crisis. I need help. They would get in their vans and drive to my house that day. I met
Yeah.
them in the cocktail lounge at the hotel outside the convention, just sharing our stories and sharing that anxiety we talked about, sharing the blood loss that we've dealt with over the years.
Yeah.
You know, sharing our admiration for people that we were seeing that knew more than us, like it, and then also just sharing information. I don't think a day goes by that I don't talk to any one of those guys. We have a private little group on Facebook that I shouldn't share this, but they're called the Chimney Dicks group, which is similar to a mixed group. But so like when we share the hardcore information about stuff that we learn in the industry that may not be easy to talk about, like really private, intimate, if not vulnerable stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, like you and me and our friends have watched people go through deaths. We've watched them go through divorces. We've watched them go through bankruptcies. We've watched them go through the worst types of pitfalls that we all know now are very avoidable. At least I didn't know that. I shouldn't say we all do, but I didn't know how many of those pitfalls I ran into were avoidable.
You think you're going through it alone till you get to a convention or until you get to a group like that. And, you know, I was, and to speak to that, I mean, I remember the first time I went to a national convention, I think it was San Antonio. And I got in there and I'm like, I really don't know what to expect. And some of the guys were getting up and arguing with the people. And there was some of those, you know, the open meetings where they're get kind of nasty and stuff. I'm like, man, I don't think I like these guys. I don't think I like this, because it was more like a family fighting, you know, and we've had a few of those over the years. And, I then remember hearing Jim Brewer speak, hearing Steve Piattel speak, hearing John Meredith speak. I'm like, wow, these guys are really smart. I'm Jerry Eisenhower. I'm like, man, these guys, they know a lot of stuff I don't know, and I need to pay attention, you know. And I can tell you that, you know, those conventions and those, you know, that thing helps you, one, realize you're a part of a bigger thing. But two, you're probably not at the front of the room either. Some of these guys think they're like top of the line till they get to these events. Like, oh, there's some other guys that are maybe further ahead. And the best thing you can do is don't take the ego in. Go, man, talk to me. Tell me about this. What's my next step? You know, be open and work that room and don't go back to your hotel room and just go to bed or go off on your own. Get with the people who you're watching, who, if you can, ask some questions, be around them, you know, do something to network at that show. It'll change your life.
If you look at the schedule for the NCSG show this year, you'll see there's guys on there that have never spoke before. And they have incredibly thriving, wonderful businesses in the middle of the U.S. in markets you've never even heard of. And they're growing like crazy. So if that's your interest, there's guys that are going to speak on that. And the one thing that's a trademark to our industry association, the NCSG, I really think it's an NCSG thing. I don't really think it's our industry. I think it's an NCSG thing, is that we share information.
Yeah.
And you and I have talked about this at length before, about how you'll come up with something or you'll learn something outside of the industry, and then you'll bring it to a mixed group or you'll bring it to the NCSG, and the first thing out of your mouth is this. There really aren't trade secrets, because we're like, as an industry, we kind of are like maybe decades behind similar industries like HVAC, right, and other home services industries. Right. Like if we're just now getting it, we need it. Like we need all of it everywhere now.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I think, again, John Meredith said that, like, even, you know, Bob Daniels, City Bob, it was the culture of honor. It's like, man, let's help each other. There's no sense in holding anything back. And for one reason is why I do this show on the podcast. Like, I'm trying to share everything as soon as I get it, as soon as I know about it. Or if I know about anything, let me share it with you, because you will naturally share something back with me. You shared something with me right off the bat about one of your thought processes about how to maintain cash flow and stuff like that. That you demonstrated perfectly what we're all about. I want to read a couple comments real quick. You've got a fan here. John Pilger says, Jake is really smart. Enjoyed teaching with him, and we compliment each other. Thank you, Jake.
We do.
Bob says, Jake, I had 4 vehicles that motors went in the last 5 months. Yeah.
Oh my God, I've had that year. I've one
Yeah.
similar to that. Like that's when you call your car dealer. That's my advice here is you call your car dealer. You got to have a buddy somewhere who's a car dealer. And you're like, I got this problem, and he probably has solutions. He probably doesn't dangle them out there all the time, but he probably knows a guy who knows a guy who has a fleet of former, like what we just did when that happened was we bought 3 Cox cable vehicles that were completely set up and rigged and ready to go. But this guy had bought they had gotten rid of their fleet of vehicles, and he bought like 15 of them, and he thought he could sell them quick, and he couldn't, and he was ready to get rid of them. And this car dealer knew about it, and he just said, "Oh, I'll get you 3 of them right away."
You know, you've hit. Go ahead. You hit on something that I think is the answer. Really, this thing right here is your solution. Like, reach out. Don't take it all internally. Reach out to somebody in the industry. Reach out to a fellow guild member or another person in the industry. That reach out to your car dealer. Reach out to people. This thing.
I would not have this podcast, or any connections that I have had. I would not have some of my best friends in the whole world if it wasn't for the NCSG. And that's just because of that dadgum show. You show up, you share, and whatever.
Yeah.
And the thing I was going to add to this is it's not just business development and business sense and tricks for being an entrepreneur. And we were born to be tradesmen or whatever, or musicians, or athletes. We thought we were going to be something else. We end up here, and we end up as a tradesman. And now suddenly we have to be entrepreneurs, and we're reinventing a career. It seems like every year. There's also just incredible technical information. There's going to be a class there by Dale Febb. If you open up NFPA 211, basically our Bible for how things are supposed to be done for fireplaces and chimneys, at the very, I think it's the first page, at the very top, it will say Dale Febb. And I think it's because, I don't know what the title is, but he's probably the chairman of the committee.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
not
you'll see
sure
Jim
his role in
Brewer.
it. Yeah.
And then
Dale and
see
Jim.
a list of names that are people that are professionals in our industry, and they're
Randy
giving
Brooks.
classes on technical issues. So and especially with regard to that example I gave earlier of the guy on Facebook who was like, yeah, if you want to learn to get lung cancer, go be a chimney sweep. Otherwise, you can go be rich and have a lucrative career being a chimney repairman. And it was like, we all wanted to chime in and say, well, we kind of are chimney repairmen, and we're kind of doing it the way you're supposed to do it, because we know we're doing it right, because we're paying attention to these people who are teaching these classes at these conferences, and also through SureFire, through NCSG, through CSIA, through NFI, through all of these channels of education that are all of them should be exploited by every person in our industry to the extreme. I don't see how I could do my job, honestly, without all of them. I really don't. And if
it's funny.
If I didn't know they were there, I could probably forgive myself for just doing it my way. But knowing that they're there, knowing that there's a book, knowing that there's a mentor, knowing that there's a Jerry Eisenhower or a Dale Febb or a Jim Brewer or a Mark Stoner I can call, and I don't call them, or I don't go to Orlando on an Allegiant flight for $99 and hang out for 3 days. Like I really don't have too many good excuses.
Yeah, you're totally right. A couple quick things here. You make a list, work through it with care and strategy. You get to control your life and your projects and learn to shut down when you're at home. It's just work. Let your family heal you in the off times. Love that, Yvette. Thank you. Sometimes she says some smart things. Ryan says, yes, books. Yeah, totally. Bill Thornton. Hey, Bill. If you're going to Florida in a few weeks, I'll have a few extra fishing poles. That helps me.
Nice, Bill.
Yvette says, but you're so right. The only way to get out of your box is to have someone read the instructions, which are usually written on the outside of the box. Find a mentor. Yeah.
That's so good.
Ask if anybody's going to the Kennedy Space Center. Yvette says there's no time. Here's Bart. Here's Yvette says, because we are not only business friends, but we're creating a family. And that has been true. I mean, I've always felt that in our industry. And even sometimes when the family fights, and we talked about that a bit, there's everybody that's in it really cares. Like, we might not agree, and that's okay too, about how you get there.
I think it's really important not to agree. Like, we need controversy. We need dissidence.
For sure.
Yeah,
that's not the worst thing at all. And also, but everybody involved in the leadership and everything really does care. I mean, for sure they care and they feel like this is the right thing or that's the right thing, and they can disagree. And sometimes that looks ugly, but it's okay. It actually, it's for the right reasons. I think I've always thought that, and that's part of, what we're talking about. A couple more things. Bart says, although there might be a lot of rogues in this industry, most are willing to help. That's correct.
True.
Yvette says, and some of the best gems of knowledge are not even gained at seminars. They're gained at the bar, gained over lunch, gained in the hallways. You got to talk to people outside of the seminars and put their brains and get getting their jammies. And that's what you were talking about, right? I mean, it's not just, don't read the seminars and go, I want to see that or not. It's not about that at all, right?
I mean, I'll be really honest. I literally can't count the number of times I've stood arm in arm with another guy, tears coming down our faces, talking about the things that we've dealt with over the years, the difficulty of the work, the fact that it's hard on our bodies, that we've lost friends, that, it's a real thing. And another thing, some of you might want to try this. I've tried this with my kids and they just don't believe it. It's fun. I tell my kids, the oldest one, 26, I'm sorry, just turned 27. He gets it because he's in the industry now. But I've told them their whole life, I was like, no matter where you are in the United States of America, no matter where you are, literally anywhere in the United States of America, if you're in trouble, you call me and someone can be there in 3 hours. We'll pick you up, give you a place to sleep. We'll give you a meal, probably give you cash for an air flight back home, because these people in this industry are a little crazy about being really cool.
That's cool.
I know that. And I would dare you to pick a city right now, Mark, that I can't name somebody within 3 hours that I know. I could call and say, hey, can you pick my kid up? And they would go, done.
That's a great point. That's so true. That's exactly right.
It does, as Yvette said, go beyond just technical like information and sharing of business knowledge and coming to a convention and acting silly and telling stories. It really turns into, like, to me, it's been an extension of my family.
Well, and it's a testament to you too, though. I mean, you've given to this industry a lot. You've hosted auctions that took a bunch of my money. You have gotten a lot of shots and got people to spend more money. You've called me when I wasn't there and said, I need you to put a bid in for this thing. We need, like, it's a testament to you too. And to now, you called me on this. You said, hey, can we do a show? Can we talk about the convention? You reach out and make things happen too. So
that was very kind of you to say, but Mark Stoner, you've been the cultural center of our industry for the better part of a decade and a half now, as long as I've been there. So, like, I want you to take that compliment for yourself as well. You've been influencing, not just for like the growth of our businesses and the growth of our lifestyles and the growth of our families, but you've been right in the center of both organizations that I've been involved with since the very beginning. You should take that compliment for yourself.
I did. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. We got an active group here. They like talking to you, Jake. I know we've gone over time. Are you okay with some more time? Because I know we actually haven't quite got to what we were going to talk about yet. I knew this would happen with us, though.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
There are some things I do need to touch on about the NCSG show at some point.
Let's do it.
Hopefully we find an opportunity to go into it, but you just go wherever you're going.
Well, so I love when people comment because they're part of the conversation and kind of steers the show. It says, I met some of the nicest people who enjoy helping. A very different industry overall that doesn't really exist anywhere else. I've heard that so much.
Yep.
That this is rare, and it is rare. It is rare. Thank you for saying that. This industry is a family. Most of my best friends are in this industry. Some same for my children. Yeah,
that's true.
Yvette says, amen on that, Jake. Sweeps got your back. She says, Jake taking your money was helped by your friend Tequila. That was an epic moment. It was so fun.
It was a good strategy. Well, we came after you days before that, Mark. You were in our sights. So Don't feel
So
too
let's
bad.
talk about, thank you guys for all your comments. Jake is a super helpful person in this industry. He always wants to help anybody he can. I've known him for many years, and he's a resource for you. So let's talk about the NCSG convention. Let's talk about the dates, what it is, how do people get registered, what it's about.
So the 23rd through the 27th, if I'm not wrong. Please don't quote me on that. Everyone go to NCSG and look it up, because I have a terrible name.
NCSG.org is a website.
That's correct.
Let's just look real
I
quick
think
to
it's
make sure.
23 through 27.
No, I've got 19. I've got 19, Tuesday the 19th through the 23rd.
This is why I need Hope Stevenson with me all the time, because I can just say things and she can correct me and fact check me constantly. Okay, hang on a second.
Yeah,
I'm just going to
19
go
through
with what
24.
you say, because you seem like you're looking down at your phone. So I'm going to.
Yeah, I am. And then Ryan also, he's coming 19 through 24. Yeah. You'd be a week late, Jake.
Yeah, that's not unheard of.
19th is a board of directors meeting. Got it. So what do you do for the NCSG currently?
I'm on the board of directors. They've asked me to chair their marketing committee. So primarily we handle our communication efforts, which I think some people would think was pretty poor right now. I've not done the greatest job, but we have tried to pick up some slack from a lot of changes over the past 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
So NCSG is in a lot of ways a brand new organization, even though we've been around for over 40 years. It's an organization that is primarily focused on chimney professionals, making sure that they have the resources that they need. And I wish there were people more qualified than me to talk about this, because there's 1,000 of them out there that I wish could answer these questions. But what we're focused on right now is finding a lane for the NCSG that isn't duplicating the efforts of other industry organizations.
Sure.
But it's really easy. Not easy. Actually, it is easy. You can go on SureFire. You can go to CSIA. You can go to NFI. You can go to NCSG, and you can get a chimney education of sorts. You can get a certification. You can take some classes. There's ways of doing that. And what we learned, and I got to give credit to Bob Ferrari for this, because as we hired him as our executive director, he just took the bit and ran. And
now, is Bob the executive director or a director of education?
Director of education. I'm sorry. Did I say that wrong? Okay.
Because you have another ED.
We do. We have an executive director, Kayla Schmidt, I believe is the last name.
Yeah. Okay.
So what Bob has determined, and I completely 100% agree with him, and I'll admit it took me a minute to get on board with him. We had a lot of questions for this when he brought it up, that our resources should be committed towards developing a VR platform for training. And all of us were kind of like, man, I learned on a roof. I learned on a ladder. I learned in a truck. I learned with a scaffold. I learned, with brushes and rods and soot in the air. There's no substitute for that. And there truly isn't. But if you're going to stand in front of Mark Stoner or Jim Brewer or Jake Leffler or someone standing in front of you telling you how to do something, is it not much more engaging if you have a headset on that has that thing in front of you? And if you've ever spent any time in VR, you understand it's a whole different level of engagement.
Very immersive.
It took some convincing for us. We had to actually talk to the developers who showed us how well this works in other industries. That you can immerse somebody in an environment and they can feel the consequences of their mistakes, whether you're slipping and falling, whether you're falling off a ladder, whether you're holding a tool and not holding a safety device. If you don't apply the safety device to the tool before you do it, you get a big red flag that pops up. And those are very sticky, memorable experiences. I didn't realize how effective it was until I started looking at it. And Bob and I went down to Dallas and tried it out with these guys. So we have this agency called From the Future who's been doing VR development for games and doing game designing and program designs for a very long time. And to be honest, it blew my mind to go down there and see what they can do with very little time and money. Also knowing that and we all know this now, we hear about it, we read about it, but it's not really in our face yet, is the impact of AI. This is something I think we all have, like I said, sort of an understanding of, but can you imagine how cool it's going to be when you put on a VR headset in your pajamas and you're sitting in your living room and you have an AI chimney guy standing in front of you, and he's got a top hat on, and he's got the old traditional garb on, and you say, hey, is it required to have a chimney cap on a masonry chimney? And he goes, no, I can't find a single reference in the IRC or the NFPA 211 where it's required. There's suggestions for about the size of the spark arrestor and the openings in the spark arrestor, but I don't see any requirement for it. Instead of waiting 3 weeks over a Facebook group, or 20 years ago, we would go on the Chimneys L group and you would post a question and get 80 responses, none of which were accurate, if not all the way accurate. It's just really effective that you can feed this information to an AI, and it may not be 100% reliable. I don't think it ever will be, but it at least puts you in the right direction pretty quick. And on very technical and very specific questions, it can be extremely accurate.
Yeah.
And so you can have that resource. Then you can have a model of, say, a Class A chimney system in front of you, and you can see all of the components and how they interact with each other, and you can assemble them, disassemble them, pull them apart, look inside of them. You can zoom in and out and around a typical masonry chimney, and then eventually we'll have a whole city. Currently, we're developing our chimney inspection platform, which we'll be debuting at the trade show. You'll be able to put it on and try it. If you come to the trade show, you can put it on and try it, and we'll have. Hopefully, I need to not say this probably, but I'm going to go ahead and do it. I think we have a ladder training program in development, and we have our chimney inspection training program in development, half a dozen others. After the year, I would think that we would have something more like 40 different platforms or different programs for you to jump into and train on. And the idea is that you pay a small subscription fee for the access to the program, and then you buy a headset, and you can get this training, you can get CEUs, and you can get some competency without having to leave your home, without having to drive to St. Louis, or without having to fly to Orlando, or whatever burden might be standing in your way. And you can still pursue your degree. You can still pursue your accreditation.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, this is, and everyone that I've spoken to in the technology industry says that this is really smart for you guys, because all the other industries are going to be about 10 years behind you. They're going to wait for someone else to figure it out, and then they're going to buy it for 50 times more. Yeah. They're going to buy. And another great opportunity is NCSG will be able to license a lot of these products, a lot of these things to other industries. Right. And then we can also solicit our vendors. We can call, National Chimney. We can call Duravent. We can call Snaplock. We can call Perkins. We can call all these people and say, can you spend a little money and help us develop your products in VR so we can see how all these things work together and assemble it. And so you can conceivably put a new technician in a VR headset in his living room and get him what would be the equivalent of maybe, I don't know, a year's worth of going to events or having events come to you. I know you just had one come to you, a training event. I'm sure that wasn't cheap or wasn't easy, or it lost tons of productivity on it. But if you could have had all those same guys sitting in their living room with a VR headset before they go to that, it makes things stick a whole lot more. I know that's a lot of words.
I totally agree. Yeah. Ryan, looks like Ryan likes this. What? Cannot wait. Oh, it didn't pop up. Cannot wait to check that out. He'll be there. So good for onboarding new hires. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. So with that, if people aren't registered yet to see it, they go to NCSG, buy a ticket. Is the hotel sold out? Is there a room block, or is it past the room block? Do you know on that?
Good questions. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would have to ask.
I got my hotel not too long ago, and it was at the Wyndham, I believe.
Yes.
And there was still availability. When people get there, it looks like the board of directors meeting on Tuesday, so it starts Wednesday. There's a trade show, lots of vendors. I think that's one of the coolest things about it.
Well, the trade show is always the funnest thing. Yeah.
And then I think you have a banquet on Friday night. Is that right?
That's correct. And there's also, I think there's a party on Wednesday night as well, but I'm not sure if that's NCSG or not. But anyway, I don't have the agenda in front of me. Otherwise, I only have one screen. I'm sorry.
Well, so let me put this up. What if people want to get a hold of you? Let me find this banner. What's your email? How can people get a hold of you if they want to?
Jake at Tophat, TOPHAT, chimneyandroofing.com.
Oh, no, did you get my email? Because I don't think I sent it to all that. Top Hat Chimney and Roofing.
.com.
So let me put this up. Scroll across the bottom. Add banner. Are you show this? Oh, it's scrolling. I didn't mean to scroll it. Not a ticker. I don't know if I can stop that. It's going to keep
That looks
scrolling.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
All right. So that's how they reach out and talk to you. And you're going to have a demo of this new technology. And I remember a couple of years ago, Bob was like, man, and he was still running a chimney company. He's like, I want to gamify the system. I want to gamify, what we're doing for learning.
You and I talked about it years ago with SureFire too. Like, it's a hard problem to solve, to make the content really engaging so that people don't just feel like they're just staring at a documentary, right?
Yeah.
Art.
And it is like, even like, when we start SureFire, it's videos, right? It's videos and tests and quizzes. And some people learn that way and some people don't. Some people will learn with this AI and they won't, or they will learn VR or they won't. And so it's just another tool to reach a certain person that is going to like go, yeah, love this or whatever. And accessibility is really important too. Just where can you do it? How can you get training? Safe environment's a big deal too. Let's see here. Group rate at the Wyndham. Will that take place of the CNTA? I don't know. I mean, they're two different things. I mean, yeah.
Is there a CNTA that week, Mark? Do you know? I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Because I know I can't imagine that, because I know that the CSIA is doing a training and certification on either Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think so, John, about that. JJ says 2 of my favorite dudes. Hey, JJ, we have to get him on here.
Oh, wait. So what John's asking is, would a VR training program take the place of the CNTA? No.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
The answer to that is no. And to me, that's like saying, would VR take the place of hands-on training or in-person instruction? No. I think both are useful. And like Mark said, people learn different ways. Yeah. I have one kid. I have 7 kids, if you guys know that. One kid, you can tell them verbatim exactly.
Hold on, you have 7 kids?
E, F, G, and she will go do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, exactly like you said it. The other one, I can say it 40 times and he won't get it. But if I show him one time, he's like, oh, I kind of get it. And then if he does it with me one time, he'll do it forever that way.
Yeah.
And so it just takes everybody and every type of training. And to me, this is really important. And I probably shouldn't quote this because this was in probably privileged communication, but there was a time when Bob and I were talking. He was like, if we're not going to do this, then you guys got to tell me what the hell to do.
Right.
Like this is the way. This is the way forward. This is the lane that's unexplored. This is the avenue that no one's really exploited yet. And when we really thought about it, it was like, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Like, no one is doing this, and there's still people uneducated. There's still people unattracted to education. There's still people who are never going to come to the trade show, which I still think is the most attractive thing about the NCSG. But there's still people never going to come that could still get the benefit of having a virtual seminar with Mark Stoner or Bob or Steve Scally or someone who knows stuff that they don't want to drive all the way to Vermont. They don't want to drive all the way to Nashville. They don't want to go to a trade show, but they could sit in their living room and listen to you talk all night.
Yeah. I think all those things hit people differently. And like you said, finances, accessibility, all that's good. All these things can help. And they again, they drive the industry forward. I'm not sure what this means. This might be from Alan Rush. Says 93 letter emails are always solid. I don't know what that means. Do you?
I mean, it kind of sounds like one of those marketing communication rules, like keep your emails short and they're very effective. So maybe
right.
training should be 93 letters or less, and then you'll retain it. I don't know which Alan that was. It doesn't sound like.
Yeah. I
anyone
didn't know if it was Alan Rush or not, but it says no Wednesday party. Go out and enjoy Orlando. So
Thanks, Bill. Bill is he's on the board as well. He knows exactly what he's talking about.
And I'm not sure what this means. Jake Cromwell, a top hat, chimney, and roofing and other stuff, 52.com.
There's so much other stuff too. I need that email. Like register that for me, and please, I'll take it.
You need to buy that domain.
Just to make it longer.
Yeah.
I
That's
dare you
hilarious.
to reveal who you are, because I guarantee I know you and probably spent way too much time with you.
Oh, it's all good. All right. That's the 93 letter email. Oh, I see. A very long email. Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So, man, thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to see you in just a couple weeks. Anything else you want to close with for tonight?
Man, I just really appreciate you doing this. I called and asked if I could be on the show, and you said, heck yeah, let's get it done. And
yeah,
this was mostly just so you guys know, so I get some messaging out about the NCSG show and why this is going to be a really special one. The theme for this is going into the future, and we have so many technological advances like looming around us in general, but we're bringing those to the trade show. And we're going to have people, futurists, as our keynote speakers. So it's going to be a theme. It's going to be fun. There's going to be new stuff. And that's probably the one complaint we do get every now and then, as well as I went for the past 4 years. I'm going to skip this year. This one's actually going to have some new stuff in it. This one's actually going to have some fun stuff and stuff you haven't seen before. So
you said a futurist is going to be one of the speakers?
Yeah.
Futurist. Interesting. So this was from Alan, and Alan says this. Sorry, yeah, it's Alan Rush. And yeah, I've emailed Jake 50 times and never got a response because I never get his email right. LOL.
Sorry, Mark. Sorry.
All right, man. Well, thank you so much, man. I will see you in a couple weeks, guys. If you need to reach out to Jake, his email is at the bottom there. He is in charge of marketing for NCSG. Sounds like they got a really cool show lined up. I'll be down there for I think the whole time. And then I'll look forward to seeing you there. All right, buddy. Have a good night. See you, man.
Have a good night.
See you. Oh, I think there we go. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me tonight. Man, it was an active crowd. Super great people. Still got Jake's email rolling across the bottom. Very valuable talk tonight between the Swedish chimney master and Jake. It was a great show. Maybe I'll have two guests all the time. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Should be back next week. And then I'm not sure if I'll be able to do it from, I think I'll be traveling the following Tuesday to the NCSG. So we'll see if I can pull it off or not. But guys, thanks for joining us. And we will talk to you soon.